The following review is intended for entertainment purposes and targeted for adult fans of the series.
Refreshingly, she takes the initiative, offering him a lunch date at Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another Power Rangers Dino Fury episode review. The preview for this episode promised a makeover for Pop Pop and Void Knight looking for pirate treasure. I am not intrigued, but let's just get to it. Here's a look at the 19th episode of Dino Fury, The Makeover.
Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel.
Yeah, and make sure you got your notifications set up by hitting that little bell icon. Right you.
What he said was, you can consider checking us out on Patreon or Ko-fi at Orange Ranger Videos.
We begin the episode with Dr. Akana doing a report for Buzz Blast. Anyway, she's reporting on a pirate treasure chest she's found belonging to the infamous pirate captain, Purplebeard. Okay, yes, points for referencing back to that reference from earlier in the season. However, I have to take half of those points back because you already had an in-universe pirate legend you could have referenced to, Brownbeard. This transitions to Jayborg interviewing the museum's curator because that's where the chest is heading. The interview actually goes perfectly fine, the only gag during the whole thing being Amelia trying to slip in a question about a pirate ghost curse. Pop Pop is also there, doing something important, I'm sure, and seems very taken with the museum's curator, Beatrice. He starts chatting her up, and then a Buzz Blast worker, an incredibly attractive Buzz Blast worker, might I add, knocks over a light in their direction, and Pop Pop gets Beatrice out of the way, saving her. She's taken in kind, and the two of them have an incredibly charming conversation. Refreshingly, she takes the initiative, asking him out on a lunch date. Amelia overhears and is giddy with excitement, but Pop Pop, whose real name is Ed Jones, we find out as he introduces himself, says he hasn't had a date in decades and he doesn't know what to do. Amelia says that she will take care of everything. Gee, I wonder if the moral of this episode is going to be just be yourself.
I was right!
Void Knight must realize how far behind these reviews are because we have another rather uncomplicated and quick to explain plan. They just so happen to have a fully evolved Sporix beast, Bone Switch, with the ability to switch two creatures' bodies. Yeah, we're doing one of those. After demonstrating that power on Mucus and Slither, Void Knight has Bone Switch go to steal the pirate treasure from the museum to power his machine, and tells the monster to swap any rangers that get in their way. I'm not really sure what good that would do, but okay. What follows here is a rather entertaining amount of lamp shading as the writers come right out and basically say that yes, the moral of this episode is rather obvious. Amelia looks online to find a blazer for Pop Pop. Must be one of those sites that offers instant drone delivery, seeing as this date is in 3 hours. Zato comes right out and says it. It makes no sense to try and impress Beatrice by changing who Pop Pop is. For Zordon's sake, she asked him out. And what's Amelia's response to that?
Red alert! All hands to battle stations!
Yeah, that's right, an alarm goes off and doesn't let her answer. There's trouble at the museum and the Rangers head over there. Bone Switch is at the museum looking for the chest. They finally find it, but it's empty and they smash it. The Rangers show up and morph, but Bone Switch fires away, switching Amelia and Zato. That's right, we're gender swapping in this one. Kudos for that bravery. And Javi and Ollie. Ion and Izzy manage to dive out of the way. For some reason, the swapped Rangers are demorphed. They even go as far as to show us that they can't morph again. We'll get to the explanation on that a little bit later. In the meantime, Izzy and Ion handle the fight while the others go back to the base. Credit where it's due, a lot of this fight is original footage, though they do work a little bit of Sentai footage into it. Ion combines his gun and his sword, and hey, guess what he calls that combination? The Blade Blaster. The Blade Blaster. Anyway, he uses the electro armor and beats at the monster, who runs away. And funny enough, a blast that Ion had fired at the monster goes past where they teleported away and destroys a car. Ion says they probably had insurance. Hey, by this point, monster fight insurance has to be a thriving industry in the Power Rangers universe. State Farm is probably there. The two Rangers head back to base. We're given some really weak speculation that the body swap has broken those Rangers' connection to the morphing grid. We'll just pretend that makes sense for the moment and move on. An alarm Amelia set on her phone for Pop Pop's date goes off, so that's happening in 30 minutes. She realizes that she can't help Pop Pop in Zato's body, but Zato can. Not with the whole date, he won't do that, and she doesn't need him to anyway. All she needs him to do is tell Pop Pop to put in an earpiece, and then she'll speak through a headset.
I don't think that's a good idea.
They head to the date where Zato says that Amelia has a cold, hence the different voice. Of course, when Amelia starts talking on the headset, her voice sounds normal, and absolutely nobody questions this. Maybe it's because I was writing this at 4 in the morning right after writing the Crossed Wires review, but this goes exactly how you'd expect, and it's really cringy and awkward, and they toss in some unnecessary physical comedy having to do with a cologne that attracts bees, and here's where it gets good. Here's where it gets better. So the slapstick bees and everything slapsticked the headset into some soup and fried it, so now Amelia can't help Pop Pop anymore. When he runs over to try and fix the headset and get changed and everything, Zato runs over, again, this is in Amelia's body, and says not to worry about the nice clothes and the acting sophisticated and all of that, just to be himself. He changes back into his work clothes, and surprise, surprise, she asked him out wearing those. She doesn't mind them at all. In fact, she can identify each and every grease stain on them because she used to work on motorcycles with her dad, and they have so much in common, and yada yada yada, just be yourself. Here's the thing. There's 8.5 minutes left in this episode, and we've basically satisfied the moral.
Do you have a clue what happens now?
Alright, so now here's the real explanation about the swapped Rangers. I suppose. The Rangers can't morph because their dinosaur energies have remained with their spirits. That's the easiest way to describe the essences that transfer from one body to another and are incompatible with their bodies. For example, Amelia has swapped into Zato's body, but she cannot morph using the T-Rex key because her spirit is infused with Ankylosaurus energy.
I don't get it.
Long story short, the Rangers just have to morph with the keys of their spirits instead of their bodies, and they'll be fine. And I'm telling you right now, if this doesn't get us a female Red Ranger and a male Pink Ranger suit, I'm deducting half a point.
And here we go.
So the Rangers confront Bone Switch and swap their keys around to morph. Now, I figured this was going to go one of two ways. Either the Rangers were going to look exactly like normal, the lazy route, or, like I mentioned, they'd have their suits swapped around and we'd see a female Red Ranger and a male Pink Ranger. Would you believe they found a third option? The Rangers look a little different. Red is a little thinner, black is a little thicker, but the genders haven't changed. Pink is still overall small and feminine, and red is muscular and male. It's when one tries to have their cake and eat it too that they fall face first and trip right into it, and this just does not make any sense.
Disappointed!
There is a cute little gag to satisfy the Sentai footage. The Gold Ranger isn't in it, so Bone Switch manages to switch Ion into the body of a pigeon. He even participates in the roll call, going, Mosa Fury! Pigeon? The Rangers handle henchmen and Bone Switch grows, send the Zords. Oh, and the Rangers are basically talking out of the proper suits now. Why does this matter? Warrior formation in the Megazord, and they destroy the monster's horns. They control Bone Switch's swapping ability, and the Rangers are switched back to their original bodies. The ones that at this point they were basically already in.
I thought I understood how this worked. I'm doing my best.
And my goodness, do they pad the Zord fight. The Zords are summoned all but one at a time. And then they attack one at a time. Then they combine. Then, after the Rangers are swapped back around, we watch them trade their keys back with each other and morph again. Thankfully, just an instamorph this time. It is quick after that, but we get a really neat finisher to this as the monster runs towards the water, and Ion has the Mosazord play Dino Jaws with a Chompy Chompies and a nice tail slash for Kaboomies. Activate apology scene. Amelia meets Pop Pop at the museum where Beatrice said he'd be the perfect one to restore the chest that Bone Switch broke. Amelia tried to change Pop Pop. He's perfect the way he is. Just be yourself, etc., etc. The important thing is we have a little bit of ongoing plot here. When Pop Pop started putting the chest back together, he realized that the breaks in the wood were too clean to be simple shatter damage. It was always supposed to come apart because they're puzzle pieces. He put the puzzle pieces together and it formed a map showing Purplebeard with his mystical talismans, 2 Dino Fury keys. And the map indicates that those keys are buried right there at Dino Henge. Amelia calls the Ranger hotline to let them know. And then we see Dr. Akana, Pop Pop, and Beatrice with the Morphed Rangers at Dino Henge. Zato uses the Vision Key, and indeed, under the ground, sees a chest with 2 Dino Fury keys inside. A light one and a dark one. Let's take both of those, put them on either side here and here, and balance the scales. Episode 19, The Makeover. Pros, Pop Pop is cute with both Amelia and Beatrice. The lip sync was nailed, and finally some serialization. Cons, the 2 plots feel barely connected, they barely did anything with the body swapping, and ongoing confusion about what body swapping means. The human plot was cute. The Ranger plot was frustrating. The half a point I promised to deduct is given right back for the plot hook at the end. And we're right back to average. The Makeover gets another 3 scales out of 5. Ion showed up, we learned a little bit about who this new Gold Ranger was, and then descended straight back into filler. I feel like this might be the point where the filler finally ends, but this is episode 19 out of 22. Where is the long, satisfying plot arc for a wrap-up here? I mean, maybe they're finally writing this as a 44-episode show that airs over 2 years, but if the show's going to go away for even any sort of mid-season break, to coin the term here, I would like a satisfying conclusion. Really, I feel like Ion should have led us into this final arc of the season. If you're going to introduce the 6th Ranger this late in the game, make that mean something. He should change the game. At this point, Ion is only here to fight a villain who's not even here right now, and nothing else significant has changed. Let's see if we're in for anything serious by taking a peek at the 20th episode of Dino Fury, Waking Nightmares. Seeking new Zords, Zato is trapped on a distant planet, and Ion makes a risky trip to save him. Together, they must confront the nightmares of their past before the Zords can be found. That actually sounds promising. So that's going to do it for another Power Rangers Dino Fury episode review. Thank you, heroes, so much as always for watching. Now that the video's done, you can let me know what you thought of this episode, as well as my review of it, down in the comments below. While you're down there, make sure you smack that thumbs up button to let me know that you enjoyed this video. And if you're looking for a way to financially support my channel that isn't Patreon or Ko-fi, consider checking out my Teespring and getting some sweet Orange Ranger merch. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. Getting really good at this outro thing. This transitions to J-Borg, the secret pirate ghost curse. Because that's where the chest is heading. Yep. Refreshingly, she takes the initiative, asking him out on a lunch date. She asked him out. Amelia looks at Pop. What follows here is an entertaining amount of lamp shading as. What follows here is an entertaining amount of lamp shading as the writers say that yes, because she used to work with Ion showed up. We learned a little bit about who this new